I have the honor of introducing my new boss. Ueli Steiner from Carbon Standards International is going to be talking about the next generation of biochar quality and carbon removal standards. Voila.
Yeah, hello everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks, Caitlin, for the invitation. I would like to invite you to follow me on a short journey of about 20 minutes in the direction and to the next generation of biochar and carbon dioxide removal standards. As Carbon Standards International, we develop standards for CDR programs, but also for biochar. And we started 15 years ago with the first development of a standard. Probably you know the name EBC, European Biochar Certificate. And now in December last year, we launched a new standard named WBC, World Biochar Certificate Standard. And some basic elements are based on EBC. I would like to start with some success stories that I would like to really share with you. As example, if I look back 10 years ago, a group of farmers in Switzerland, they started to applicate biochar in a kind of experiment project together with us in the agriculture environment. They put it in biochar into the feed for the animals. Also, we had an application into the compost, into the stables, everywhere. And this was now, a quite successful project and story. In these 10 years, they were able to double the amount of soil organic matter, soil organic carbon, and in total, they could increase, as example, the amount of soil organic matter from 2 to 4, or in some cases to 5%. And it's a wonderful side effect of the application of the biochar, and they use the kind of quality, as example, agro quality, for the application in the agriculture environment. And in the summer months, when it's even dry in Switzerland, in the meantime, they have highest harvest quantities, and the neighbors are suffering a little bit, and also the crops, because the soil organic matters value are much lower than on their own fields. Another company, also producing biochar since many years, they created a completely new product in the building industry. The name is Clark. Clark is a concrete. It's a concrete based on biochar, certified on a premium level, the highest quality that we can certify in our system. And this Clark is climate neutral after application. And after the first launch of this product, they had an order of more than 1,000 cubic meters in the following week, and they have the situation that they are even not in the position they cannot produce as much that this concrete would be ordered in Switzerland. Of course, it's a small country, but if you can imagine what that would mean if we would achieve to make concrete climate neutral on the planet based on biochar, then we definitely do not have enough of this product. We can produce even 1,000 or more quantities than we have today, and it will not be enough. What we see more and more, based on our quality certification classes, are also other applications in the industry, as example, car, automotive industry. People are more and more interested. They want to know what kind of quality is in this product. They want to know the thresholds, also heavy metals, PAH values, to know exactly what they put in, because they think also today, when they produce something, to recycle this product later, in a later stage. And this is part of this certification. And I will come back with an example even later on. The Biochar standard WBC, of course, has a feedstock list, a positive list of permissible biomass, where you can see, as example, in the agriculture environment, what kind of quality you can achieve if you add, as example, tree prunings here, and then we see, okay, a premium biochar can be produced based on this feedstock. The biochar tool, in our point of view, an important element in the next generation of biochar standards, allows you to add all the production data that you have to plan your production, to plan your batch, to put the feedstock in place, to put all the data from the production in, and do the analysis. The analysis from the laboratories can be put in automatically, and you have the full overview about the quality of your biochar. The biochar tool was launched in December 2, in the same time as the WBC standard was launched, and we got positive feedback from the producers until now, and we will see how it goes on in the next months. The summary here is that we think that a proper tool can really make your life easier. It's important to manage the production of the biochar, and at the end we offer also consulting packages together with suppliers, consulting, audit and certification packages. It's quite, not a really expensive service. With $5,000, you have the possibility to be fully certified. You can use the tool, and at the end, you have a certified biochar, as example, as a new producer. When we have the biochar, and probably, hopefully, the biochar is applied somewhere, as example, in the agriculture environment, in the building industry, or in other materials, then it's the question how the carbon credits can be certified. For that, we just announced the Global C-Sink Standard, based on also a previous standard that we had since many years. At the moment, the Global C-Sink Standard is in the pre-release version. You have the possibility still to give feedback on these standards. I would like to jump in here only in two main new elements that we put it in. One new element is the Global Biochar C-Sink efficiency label. For us, it seems to be quite interesting to know how efficient is your production if we put together the material efficiency and the energy efficiency. To know, yes, the carbon that we put in as a feedstock in this production process, what exactly can be achieved, and it's one element of this new Global Biochar C-Sink Standard. Another additional element that comes now is the emission portfolio for producers. If you look at the process, in many cases, first the feedstock has to be produced, harvested, prepared. The biochar has to be produced. After that, probably the biochar is processed and is applied somewhere in a matrix. And in the Global Biochar C-Sink Standard, this is a little bit disconnected from the batch. You have the possibility to manage all the emissions in an emission portfolio. And this emission portfolio has then the possibility for you to be balanced. Can be balanced with your own carbon credits, can be balanced with long-term carbon sinks, with probably temporary carbon sinks. Even for methane emissions, there is a special regulation in it, how this can be done. Methane emissions can be differently balanced than, as example, emissions from fossil fuels that you use in your production process, because we think it's important to have the possibility and flexibility as a producer to balance also these emissions that you have in your production process. And there are some new elements in. And yeah, I think it's a good way to calculate then and issue carbon CDR credits. So, to check, yeah. What we always try is to realize innovations. And if I come back to the application and usage of biochar, how this product can be used, we started now to finance a C-Sink sports snowboard team. A snowboard team means in the World Cup. It was a little bit a long way because first we had to produce all the snowboards by ourselves. It's biochar in. It's biochar in, a special technology of nanocarbon that is applied then to this biochar, to these snowboards. And we had the idea to create something really fast. We had the idea to create something new, and we achieved. The positive thing is that we were able to realize a carbon sink in a snowboard, and these snowboards are so good that at the moment in probably most all the categories, the athletes in the World Cup have a Global C-Sink snowboard. If you have time, just look it on the television and you will see the Global C-Sink logo on the boards. It's the first time that we could also create flying C-Sinks. It's the first carbon sink that can fly. It's really a snowboard. The carbon sink value can be calculated, and probably you know the one of the other here. It's Bell Brockhoff and Chloe and some other World Cup leaders driving a Global C-Sink snowboard with carbon, with biochar in it, and it's only an example that this product can be applied more or less everywhere with a really positive impact. It's not only the snowboard that had better glide possibilities than if you do the snowboard without. Yeah, Red Bull was asking now. If we speak about CDR standards, then we have not only the industrial case, we have not only the industrial production of biochar. That's why for the Global South, for smallholder farmers, we developed Global Artisan C-Sink. It's a different standard. It's a little bit different from the product quality side because the production can be even done in a contiki. It can be done in a contiki by a smallholder farmer or by an artisan professional. And it's, in our point of view, a really important standard for the Global South that these families are able to create carbon credits based on their harvest residues. Today, these harvest residues, as example, in India or in other countries, they are burned, open burning, and it's so important that we bring this CO2 back to the soil. We can do something positive for the soil organic matter and soil organic carbon content, and that's why we created Artisan, and more Artisan projects come in now. Also new in our portfolio, everything is a little bit new at the moment. It's since January this year, is a new tree standard. The tree standard is completely different from what you probably know out there. It's a standard who counts, and it's a yearly really calculation of the carbon stored by trees. At the moment, it's a single tree tracking that we are doing in the projects, that we can measure how much carbon was stored from the trees in 1 year. Many other elements are in, but it's a basic difference from probably other standards. Yeah, then I would like to come to the registration part. Registration, in this case, what you see here is the biochar registry, C-Sink registry of carbon standards. with the long-term part of a biochar C-Sink. In this case, I think it's more or less 75 or 80%. And this is this line here. And then on top, we have also temporary carbon sinks that are out there, are important, and can also be used and should not be forgotten in this entire picture. If we speak about new carbon removal standards, then also temporary carbon sinks are really important. If you come back to this picture here, are snowboarders out there? Okay, different ones. How many years do you have your snowboard? 25 years, okay. 15 years. If we create here a carbon sink, then it's a carbon sink for 25 years or for 15 years. Okay, yeah. And this is not for eternity, but this snowboard is a real carbon sink for 25 years. And that's what we think we should think about also for the future, because we have to think also in these carbon cycles. And that's why in our registry we have the possibility not only to register the long-term part, as example from biochar, also here is the possibility to register really the temporary part of a biochar based on the persistence curve that you have over, in this case, 350 years. Let's jump in the tree standard. You see the curve goes in the other direction. I have to check if something, is here animated. What we do in the tree standard, and it also can be registered in our registry, is we measure the carbon that the trees did store in the first year. And then the quantity that we can measure in the second year. And we can estimate the curve for the next years, but we certify only what we could measure and what exactly was stored from the trees in this C-Sink unit that is defined, and it's a definition in the C-Sink standard how this has to be done. And so the C-Sink values can be added year by year based on the real capacity that the trees have stored. And for using this in the market, probably we had the chance to listen yesterday the speech from Caitlin. We developed something completely new, global cooling. Global cooling is nothing else than a carbon dioxide removal standard focused on an annual basis. Because we think that also, as example, the carbon storage value that we have in a tree we should be able to sell this, and it's possible to do that with global cooling. It's a little bit a new concept. Just take the chance and read it probably on our website, how it works. Everything is published, and you are invited to be part of it. Yeah, and then if you come back to the probably general overview, we worked a little bit on the question how the carbon dioxide removal market will be organized in the next years. We think that the most future C-Sinks that we will have will be temporary. It must not be a snowboard. The quantities are much too small in there. But if, as example, you have a building built in concrete, and after 60 years, the building is broken down and recycled, then it's a temporary carbon sink, and the most of the buildings of the streets, as example, also asphalt, you will not be out there for 1,000 years. And the question of 100 years or 1,000 years, it's more a detail in it. But we think that in the next years, there will be a huge amount of temporary carbon sinks. And we need a possibility to monetize this, to find a way that this service that is done can be paid and can also be, at the end, paid to the producer. And if we think a little bit in these carbon cycles, then it's so important to collect CO2 from the atmosphere. Can be done with biomass, can be done with other technologies. And let's recycle not only plastic and other things, let's recycle also carbon. Let's produce biochar. Let's put this wonderful product into the soil. Let's put it somewhere else. If the product has to be renewed, let's recycle this. Let's use the carbon again, and let's create a new product with. That's why we believe really also in planetary carbon recycling. And everything starts in our standards with the biochar quality. Then we have some tools that you can easily manage your production. Based on this, the global C-Sink calculation for the CDRs, temporary ones, long-term ones, and at the end, let's come back and let's probably recycle the carbon sinks and let's start again. Thanks for your attention, and I'm open for questions.
Thank you. I had a question about if, within a forest, for example, you might be doing multiple different kinds of practices to maintain the health of that forest. Everything from thinning and brush removal to get rid of the excess biomass, but then also retaining those trees that are going to be growing year after year. So in that context, would you be going after multiple standards at the same time, such as the sea trees and whether it's the global or the artisan at the same time? Could you explain how, especially when you're looking after a heterogeneous piece of land, how would one go after these different standards?
Yeah, exactly. Thanks for the question. That's exactly the approach that we have, that depending the case, we can find a combination of standards. As example, if you have a reforestation project, the tree standard don't work for existing forests. If you have an existing reforestation project, then we can start with the tree standard and we can certify properly the annual stored carbon in the trees. And then we can continue. The day will come when this tree is cutted. Hopefully a part of it is in the building industry used, and the rest can be used for biochar production. And everything can be registered in our registry. That means even the building material, and then the biochar, and this combination of standards is exactly that what we think should be the next step, and we work on it. Thanks, Kathleen.
Biochar.org appreciates the support of our sponsors, exhibitors, presenters, and attendees. We look forward to seeing you at our next conference in September 2025.